Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Live, trance, and prosper. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian David Phillips, and let's get started. Hopefully, this sucker is working. We'll see if it works. Alrighty. Welcome. This is Ecstatic Hand Trance. Woohoo! And we're going to play around with all sorts of wonderful things. Excuse me, I'm looking at two cameras, so I might get thrown off a bit. But this is our webinar. We are in YouTube Live this time. See how that works this go around. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it doesn't work. And hopefully we'll get everything straightened out. As some of you know, we typically would be using something along the lines of, well, not something, we would use. We'd be using Tiny Chat for the live webinar, but this go around, we are once again, as last time, using the YouTube Hangout. I'd like to give it a go again, see how it works for us. It's worked okay last time, although it was problematic. We did it last time because Tiny Chat blew up on us, and hopefully this time, knowing we're going into the YouTube Hangout, that things will work out for us. But we'll see. Alrighty? Alright, well, Ecstatic Hand Trance. We've got a couple viewers for us, so let's get to it. Ecstatic Hand Trance. Now, what in the world is an ecstatic hand trance? Now, our logo for this particular episode looks like this. That's what our advertising stuff did. Hello! And this is a mudra. Mudra is a hand position or a hand meditation. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the context and background for hand trance positions, as well as, and this is the meat of today, the hour we have with you, or an hour, or a little shorter, a little longer, I'm not sure. Depends on you, depends on how we go. But we're going to do, this is essentially a build your own ecstatic hand mudra or hand transposition. Now, what in the world is a mudra, you may ask? And that would be a bright thing to ask, clever peoples. Okay, so what is that? All here now. Nathan made it. Yay! Essentially, mudra comes from yogic practice. It's yoga and meditation out of India, and it's spread through many different cultures. Now, it could be for yoga, it could be a mudra for a hand meditation, for meditation itself, or for prayer, or for many different contexts, including dance. If you know Balinese dance, or if you don't know Balinese dance, but you may know that Balinese dancers have finger positions that they learn. Okay? Now, essentially, we're going to start off today with the base concept behind the mudra. And some of you who know yoga, you may be familiar with yogic meditation. You may know the dhyana mudra. And essentially, the dhyana mudra is holding your hands like this. Okay, there you go. I'm in an uncomfortable position. I'm trying to lift my hand up for the camera. But essentially, dhyana actually simply means meditation. And mudra actually means position of the fingers. And many folks who teach meditation teach you. Let me stand up for this so hopefully you can see my hand a little better. But essentially what you do is you place the right hand within the palm of the left hand with your thumbs lightly touching. Okay, they should be lightly touching. Now here's the thing, and this is all it is, all right? The classic finger position was devised to help folks meditate. Now here's what it means. See, in this position, when you're, imagine I'm sitting in a lotus position or something like that with my palms gently resting upon my thighs. I don't do that position. I'm too big, fat, and with no coordination. But either way, when you rest your hands in this position with the thumbs lightly touching at the tips, you know that you're meditating okay. All right? It should be concentrated. So focused trance is what you're after for meditation and experiential hypnosis. Now, some folks, if they get lazy and they start daydreaming, their thumbs start drifting apart. So they know that they need to get back on track and they need to focus some more. Now, some folks, they start concentrating a lot and they start straining. And when that happens, the thumbs will often make a little mountain. Hello, I'm a mountain. And then you know you need to let go. So essentially, the Dhyana Mudra is not some weird, arcane, strange hand position just to make you uncomfortable and just to show your focus and all that stuff. Well, it could be all that, depending on how it's taught. And I've seen folks teach this sort of stuff in really weird ways. But essentially, it's a method that helps you focus, that helps you let go, that enter a focused trance so that you can become experiential in your approach. So, we do the position, okay. I see now that the other camera wasn't quite in the right position. So, flip this upside down. Place 101, and they're drifty, and if they fall apart, I know I need to concentrate and focus. That's all it is. It's a hand gesture to allow you to focus. Now, a mudra also is considered an energetic position. The hand positions and the body positions, they're body mudra as well. Today we're doing hand trance, but you can do full body. Which is what I like to do with things like spontaneous Qigong. But when you're doing this, it's a position that allows the energy in the body to naturally flow. Now, if you believe in energy systems, this is awesome. This is absolutely cool stuff. If you don't believe in energetic systems, this is awesome. This is absolutely cool stuff. Because it's a focus primer. Just as in those of us who are hypnotists, we understand that focused induction, so experiential hypnosis is a form of focused trance. Focused. Experiential hypnosis, that trick where the trance suddenly becomes real and you experience suggestion as if it's real. The trick to it is to be focused while entering into trance that allows us to bypass critical factor of the conscious mind and all that stuff. All right, so this is a metaphor. Consider the energy as a metaphor. Now also, and I think this is important to understand, is these are anchors. Okay, so they're body positions that trigger an emotional state because over time, you use these positions and you condition yourself to respond. Now, Nathan makes a very nice comment that it reminds him of Ars Magica. The old editions of this tabletop RPG, role-playing game, had Hermetic magic, had hand positions for each of the 15 magic arts. And so you learned a number of different hand positions. I absolutely love Bushi Terasawa's work, the Japanese manga artist, and one of his pieces, Tareku, has some wonderful bits of hand positions and drawing symbols in the air, but you learn specific positions in order to do certain types of magic. Well, this is mind magic. And in our mind magic, we learn positions in order to go through it. In tantric yoga, a lot of the folks who are interested in my eroticatrance work are also interested in tantra. Go figure. But in tantric yoga, there are 108 hand positions you can learn. For instance, the vagina mudra. That is our advertising for this ecstatic trance piece is the vagina mudra. You can concentrate on that. Or the yoni, the lingam mudra. Okay, so we've got a little penis in there. The yoni, the lingam, and 106 other mudra or meditation points. And these are, and there's usually a meditation that goes along with these hand positions. And for our purposes, that's like if you ask someone, hey, dude, because that's how people who know ecstatic hand positions, that's how they talk. Hey, dude. No, they don't, but in my head they do. How many mudra do you know? And that's the tricky thing here. Okay, some folks, they learn lots of these. I've got books right in my shelf. 15 books, thick bastards, of mudra, hand meditations that people learn for different things. And I've got videos of that out of India and other places teaching different meditation mudras. And so folks, sometimes they do. How many mudra do you know? Those of you who are experienced with my hypnosis courses or ecstatic trance courses, you know, I often open the very first day of class, walking around class, I'll ask students, how many hypnotic inductions do you know? Yes, you. And folks will say anywhere from, I only know one, I've taken one course, I know 5, I know 15. And then once in a while someone will really show up and say, I know 52, because I'm often awesome. And then I'll say, I know over 1,000. And I do, I know over 1,000. And the reason I know over 1,000 is, 1, I'm incredibly awesome. 2, I make them up. We make them up. And we do. And so if you can improvise, you can create new mudra, you can create new hypnotic inductions. You're essentially playing. Allow yourself to go into it. Now some folks who meditate, they spontaneously go into mudra or hand positions. One of the most common, the haikini, it's just natural for the hands to go together in a tent formation with the fingers touching the opposite fingers, and you just feel relaxed, a relaxed point, okay? And it means something to some people, and it may mean something different to you than it means to me, and that's okay. Now Nathan just posted he's joking, but he says the Spock mudra. Well, it's not the Spock mudra, son. It's the Vulcan mind meld mudra. Or I just posted a guided imagery of the mind meld without the finger positions. Some people do the finger positions when they do the mind meld. It's a hypnotic notion. But yes, if you want to do a Spock mudra, you do a Spock mudra, or a mind meld, or whatever you want to do. But essentially, it's going into trance state, okay? Going into an experiential trance state, and then allowing yourself to feel as if the energy is flowing, and place your fingers in the position that you're targeting, okay? And then this hand position becomes anchored to this state. This is the loving relationship. Okay? And so if I feel the emotions and the energy and the connection, and I place that energy, I feel it flowing through my fingers in this position, and I tell myself that when your fingers are in this position, you feel that emotion. I breathe it in. I love doing breathing with emotional sets. Then I create a connection, energetic, emotional connection between myself and this particular hand position. Okay? Now, of course, over time, people have created these kind of hand positions, and they created connections to them. In the Christian Bible, the apostles ask, and I think Nathan brought this up as well. Currently, he's the only one typing because he enjoys that, and I enjoy discussing and feeding off that, but playing off of that, not feeding off. But in the Christian Bible, there's a point where the apostles ask Christ, Jesus, and they ask him how to pray. Okay, now we only have the words he spoke. It's not described more along that, so we don't know what he was doing in the intent. But a lot of Christians, when they pray, they learn to place their hands palms together, right? So your thumbs together, your fingers touching like the Haikini, but palms together, and they put their hands in this kind of position, and then they pray. And Christ gave the apostles a series of words, which we discussed last time, actually, in our webinar. And that is, Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth. But those words and this hand position, and this isn't mentioned in the text, but I strongly believe that he was demonstrating through an ecstatic state, and that is breathing, feeling the energy, or if you prefer, the presence of the divine, and letting it flow through the hands, the body, the mind, and the spirit to feel a connection, an introspective or psychic connection to the divine, either outside of us, throughout the universe, or within us, most likely within us. But that's similar. That's a hand position that enhances prayer. Now, for prayer, for me, ecstatic trance can be prayer. Okay? Active prayer. If you go to my website, www.briandavidphillips.net, the link is on the thing. If you go to there, you'll find I did a webinar on active prayer. I've done a lot of faith-based trance pieces, but active prayer is different from mundane prayer. A lot of folks in the modern world practice mundane prayer, and that's essentially close your eyes, have your hands in the position, think about, well, yeah, the guy's talking, but you're not really experiencing anything. Okay, and that's the folks who do the Dhyana Mudra, or if you like, you can do it this way, hand class. I do this. When I go to the dentist, I do this. But if my thumb tips are lightly touching, then I know that I'm okay. All right, and that takes a little focus. This allows me to get into a focused state. And if they start drifting apart, I'm daydreaming. A lot of folks who do mundane prayer, they're daydreaming. They're thinking about the Super Bowl in the U.S., or they're thinking about the World Cup on the rest of the planet, or they're thinking about this or that. You know, what's for lunch? What's for dinner? You know, does she like me or not? They're drifting off. They're not really in presence. They're not in a present state, connecting with the divine or with the ecstatic experience, all right? And sometimes some people just want it too much, and they just start pressing and they let the stress in or whatever, and they're working too hard. You have to let go, or as I like to tell my hypnosis students, especially eroticatrance students, surrender to the experience. Surrender to the experience. So follow the directions, concentrate and focus, but let it flow through you. And that's how we kick off that ecstatic experience, that emotional overload. The ecstatic experience is when positive emotional states flood through us. Now you can also allow negative emotional states to flood through you. I prefer not to teach those techniques. I like ecstasy rather than the opposite of that. And so we connect, all right? Okay, prayer, active, present prayer is a Western derivation of this same kind of concept. Many cultures have developed hand trance or hand meditations. They may not call it meditation. Certainly in the Bible Belt of the U.S., where I was raised, folks think of meditation as a new age kind of thing, and I could probably find you a few folks on the street who are happy to tell you yoga and meditation, that's all evil. That's the devil working. But it's essentially different cultures have different approaches. Some modern cultures, most modern cultures, now denigrate that. They have abandoned spirituality. Even religious people abandon true connection, spiritual connection, which is really too bad because there's so many benefits to it. Okay, and if you're not familiar with those, go to my YouTube and look for the stuff about how the meditation or experiential hypnosis changes structures in the brain for good. For good, I mean, yes, you can have permanent changes, but there are also very positive changes. And if you connect with fear and things like that, you're also changing structures, but they're negative structural changes. Either way, okay? Now, improvisational, or create your own mudra, is essentially, you can do it a couple approaches. One approach is straight on. It's very mechanistic. There's a method to it, essentially the same as you would use for anchoring with NLP or hypnosis. And that is to design or devise a hand position. Okay, a lot of folks I do anchoring with, they place 2 fingers on the thumb, and when they rub that, they get the emotional connection back. Okay, some people do 1 finger, some people do this, some people, when I do eroticatrance, I teach folks how to set triggers, say by gently touching the back of, right behind the ear of their appropriate adult intimate partner to create an intimacy connection. So fire off that trigger and suddenly, ooh, boom, fireworks. But essentially, you can create them just as over thousands of years, literally thousands of years, humans of different cultures have created postures, sacred postures, through trial and error. We've learned that certain positions cause us to naturally go into a self-reflective state or things like that. Why do so many cultures do pray, or they have positions that are cross-culturally used for many things. Now the idea that these connections can be for hand positions are energy centers in Tantra or in Eastern meditation, yoga, things like that. We see a whole connection with sound as well as in hand positions. For instance, to open the root chakra, you place the finger and thumb together, all right? And then just sit comfortably and chant the sound Lam, Lam, lum. And as you do that, have the sound directed toward your root. That would be that spot between the anus and the genitals. It's the perineum, okay, or the gooch, as some strange people call it, the root chakra. Lum. And then I think of the sound. I make that sound, lum, and I think of it projecting to that area, but I also think of and I imagine the positive emotional states associated with that. Now, of course, for the sacral chakra, it's back up to our Dhyana Mudra of hand in palm, thumbs touch, and and I go to the lower back, and I go to just below the belly, and vam. Open the navel, the belly, then we do this one, okay, bum bum, and then that becomes ram, ram. Heart's pretty straightforward. Over your heart, or actually it's a little lower. You can't see it on my video, so the positioning, and yum, yum. Throat, take that and make our positioning a curving, make a nice opening, and hum. And third eye, that's when we start getting complicated, okay, and that's where thumbs meet, these finger guys, they meet, and we got a little pyramid dude, and so we're creating a very interesting position. It's like the kids who do a heart, okay, and of course the crown, it's interlacing and interlace and happy pyramid guy up here. But each of these has a variation, okay? And this last one, there's even folks who will tell you, don't do that one if you don't have, if you've got a strong root chakra going, don't go playing with the crown. Because of different experiences they had. But that is essentially, that's opening chakras, okay? And you can check out different sites for things like that. There are all sorts of things you can do through trial and error, and then somebody teaches their little technique with someone else's, to someone else who then plays with it, okay? And over the years, some have become, people say, you must. I've heard people say, you must, if you're meditating, you must place your hands in this position, okay? And if you don't, you're doing it wrong. Well, that's not the point of it, okay? Now, the Dhyana Mudra is helpful, and it really is neat, but a lot of folks don't realize why we're doing it. They just think you have to put your hands in those positions. I saw a statue doing it. It must be the right way to do it. Well, your right way ain't the same as my right way, and I can devise all sorts of things that help me, but you need to make sure they help you. And so you play around, okay? If you like, you can learn the meditations, the prayers that go with certain of these. But remember, just like when you study hypnosis, you learn inductions, and I learned a lot of them, and I studied the scripts. It's important to understand in hypnosis, when you study scripts, that's a model. That's a model to be used. When Christ taught the Lord's Prayer, he was teaching a model for learning purposes. So this is how you pray, Okay, but it's not the only way to pray. And so look at the structure of the piece. And unfortunately, we don't have the breathing techniques that he used or the focus the visualization that he associated with it. The words themselves are not the magic of it. It's the engagement of the active imagination for any of this stuff. All right, so Nathan asks if this is similar to the happy finger technique. Absolutely yes. Very similar. The happy finger, if you know, is a process. It's a fun little thing I do for stage shows. I use it in therapy as well, because that's the kind of guy I am, where I go through hypnotic processes to make sure the client is in experiential hypnosis, and then I do a thing. Eventually they have an anchor where when they touch their finger, they're flooded with positive emotional states. It's an ecstatic trance. It's like they touch that sucker and whoa, positive emotional state. All right. What you're doing in Mudra creation is connecting a body or hand position to a positive emotional state, and there's many of them. All right, and so some of them can be an association to calmness, to confidence, to sexual energy. Some of you recognize this. If you don't recognize it, go to my website, www.briandavidphillips.net, and type in the keywords Venus butterfly. That's the Venus butterfly. That's the actual Venus butterfly, okay? It's not actually, it was not originally created as a meditation technique, but I do have a hypnotic Venus butterfly on my website, as well as a video teaching you how to do the real thing. If you look on pop culture, you'll find a lot of folks reference that as one of the most intense sexual techniques around. And it is fun, I admit that. But honestly, I'm a hypnotist. I don't need this to bring people to pleasure. I just need the words and the mind. Crowley, Aleister Crowley, notice I said Crowley, not Mr. Crowley. I said Crowley. Aleister Crowley, actually, he was asked, how do you say your name? He says, well, you say it Crowley if you think me holy, and Crowley if you think me foully. But he said visualization is the key to occult practice, and he's absolutely right. Visualization, that is connected, active visualization, active connection of the imagination. When I teach hypnosis, I talk about intensification of the imagination. Okay, imaginative intensification, and you really have to get your imagination in there and intensify the effect, so you feel as if it's real, as if William James said that if you want to change yourself, then behave and think as if you have changed. So if I want to be a more confident person, then I imagine as if I'm a more confident person, and I behave as if so that I feel those, and eventually you become a more confident person. Ba-dum-bum. All right, so what is a straightforward way of doing this sort of thing? We can think of an emotional state that you'd like to work with. We're going to run through some anchoring real quick, and then we're going to go with the dissociation, then play with that. Okay, so first, a methodological approach, a method to it. okay, a mechanistic approach. And that would be, think of a positive emotional state you'd like to connect to a hand position for meditative purposes and for positive self-change. Go ahead, think of that. Got it? All right, say confidence, or the ability to speak with others, or whatever you want it to be, okay? All right, it could be a religious thing, a spiritual thing. It could be just a day-to-day thing, feeling happy. All right, so I'd like to sit comfortably. Sit comfortably now. Okay, breathe in, breathe out, close your eyes and relax. Now think of a time when you felt that positive feeling. Think of a time when you felt that. Feel that feeling. Place your hands in the position that you wish them to be. It could be, as I showed you before, 2 fingers touching the thumb, or some other position. But place your hands and now breathe in and breathe that feeling that you're going for. And imagine as you touch your hand in the position, place your hand in the position, you could feel it as you breathe in that feeling through your hand position, and it flows through your whole body. Stop touching, open your eyes. Okay? Now breathe in, breathe out, close your eyes again, and think of another time you had that positive feeling. You had the confidence, you had the loving feeling, whatever feeling you're going for. Got it? When you've got that other time, feel that feeling. And as you breathe, place your hands in the position that you are imagining. And tell yourself as you breathe in and as you feel that position, that feeling gets stronger. Got it? Now stop touching, open your eyes, and do it again. Breathe in, breathe out, close your eyes and relax. And think of another time you had that feeling. When you've got that, feel the feeling and place your hands in the position and tell yourself as you feel the touch, as you feel the position, and as you breathe, the feeling is stronger. Now breathe in 3 or 4 times and feel it. And tell yourself every time you do this position, you feel that feeling. Okay, stop touching and open your eyes. All right. Now the fun. Place your hand in the position that you had been practicing with and breathe in and feel the difference. Notice the physiological and emotional change. And just tell yourself every time you practice that, it gets better. And stop touching, please. Now, I don't know what you were playing with or how you were placing your fingers, but there are many different positions you can use, okay? Now, sometimes you do it that mechanistic way, and that's anchoring. Okay, if you're unfamiliar with anchoring, you can go to my website, and you can type in anchoring, okay? And there's plenty of videos on how to do that, and I believe I've got a webinar too, where I also teach that technique. And as noted before, the happy finger is certainly a form of anchoring, as are some other things we do. But you create a hand position, and then you associate that with the positive emotional state, the ecstatic state, so to speak. Now, how do we do this sort of thing improvisationally, where we're not thinking of a specific position? One way is to use an ecstatic state. or that uses the body. As I said, sometimes people, they just naturally go into meditation and their body goes through. Some of you have seen me do my little dissociated trance dance that I do, which is spontaneous Qigong or Ouija dancing, things like that. But when I do self-meditation, I'll often just let go and allow my hands to move by themselves. It's a dissociated state. Now sometimes I get patterns that will repeat for different meditations. Sometimes I want a specific suggestion, a specific idea. For instance, if I think of my relationships, I'll think of a specific relationship, and then I just let my hand go into a position. Now, it's finding an energetic connection right now. That's what's happening here. I'm not consciously moving. My arms are seemingly dissociated. They're moving by themselves, but they're searching for a position for connection with that particular relationship. And what it's going to do is I tell myself to find a position that allows me to explore positive feelings with that relationship, positive indications, or positive semblances, and eventually it will find one. It's really working at this one. It's building a connection. I can feel it. I really can. I can feel this connection. Okay, it's getting intense. This is a molding. There it is. And I can literally feel my hands and body relax in this position. And there's the connection. Okay. Now, my unconscious knows that when I place my hands in this position, I feel that positive state for that particular relationship. I'm going to break it now, open my eyes, and there's the position that I ended up with. It looks like a pretty solid, easy to do thing, but it's not an anchor that I would normally have. Okay, and it is interlaced, but there's a lock to it, and the touching it's actually quite gentle, but I can feel it as if it's glued together. Okay, so this is a suggestibility effect connected to that. Now I will have to watch the video to see how far my hands moved up, but I could feel a lot of movement as my hands and my arms were trying to find a position that eventually rested into this. I could feel like it, I could feel it working. It was like, there's a suggestibility effect you can do, and muscle testing folks do this, where they test to see if something's true by how slippery or sticky something is. So this is this sticking together, so it doesn't move, tells me yes, but sliding away tells me no. And I could feel this similar energy, and it's an unconscious metaphor, okay? If you like, you can prefer to believe that it's all real energy, okay? But if you like to pretend you're a rational human, you can say, I have a critical factor, and my critical thinking tells me that's just an unconscious metaphor. That's okay. Feel it as an unconscious metaphor. But sliding and sticky, okay? And I could feel that happening. Essentially, and because I practice that a lot, some of you have seen me do that kind of stuff a great deal, but essentially I allow myself to come through, and now I know I've got this state anchor, okay? I don't have to go through all those. If you watch yogic dance or spontaneous Qigong, you see a lot of positions of the body and the hands. and they're essentially, you're running through a process. That bit I was showing you of the different chakra opening positions, someone can go through that and feel the energy, and they can also use vocalization. And that opens up different energy centers. The energy centers are metaphors from the unconscious of things we can do, things we can experience. All right? And so you can run through a gamut of positive emotional states for yourself. Or if you like, you can do an ecstatic state startup where we start with calm and then we go into fear. What causes fear for you? And then the fear, you can move the fear up. Okay, so I start with calm, and then I move into fears, and I can intensify the fears. Okay? And I intensify the fears, and then I break them and flood myself with that positive emotional state. Okay, essentially collapsing anchors, so to speak. But that's essentially creating mudra, creating hand transpositions. Now, they're personalized. You can go through books. I've got my 15 books over here and maybe 7 videos. And I can learn different mudra from other people, and I can look at their prayers or their meditations and look at them the same way I look at hypnotic inductions when I'm learning things. I look at processes. I look at the process under the meditation, and then I can use theirs, or just tag it to my own emotional states, or I can create them spontaneously. Or if you like, you can do it with anchoring, either with yourself or with clients. You guide them through that process. Now, when I went through the anchoring process with you, I did it 3 times, where I had you open your eyes, close your eyes, now find that state, touch, break it, open your eyes. I did it 3 times, but you might want to do it 5 or 8 times. The idea behind that is you're not anchoring a specific time. Okay, you can have single trial learning with this stuff, but I don't want you going back to a time and place where you had this positive emotional state that you want to come back to. I don't want to anchor that state, that time, that memory. I want the emotion. And so that's why I go through several instances of it. Okay? That makes sense? Or we'll pretend it makes sense. That's okay. How are we doing there? We've got a few viewers today. I imagine doing the Google Hangout, a few folks are just going to be going to the replay. We won't always put the replay up on the YouTube channel or on my website. The first few times we use this, we're just experimenting. We may actually go back to Tiny Chat. It works for most folks. Some folks have difficulty. And last time we did one of these, it self-destructed on my system, which makes it difficult for me to lead a webinar. But a lot of folks are familiar with the Hangouts, and they enjoy them. So there's that. Now, if you have any questions or conundrums regarding this topic, feel free to comment and or just email me. This one will probably go up on the site. I have to check the recording. Google does record this, but it's usually a really, really not very pretty video, and so I try to use my own. But we'll see how it goes. All right? And Tamsin says yes. Yay! And so we've got another one scheduled. We're going to do Trance Dance, and then we'll move on to some other topics. I'm doing a lot more with ecstatic trance of late. I enjoy it. It's my thing. But of course, we have other topics. If you have any topics that you would like to see, feel free. Feel free to drop me a line. I'm always happy to take requests for webinar topics. Alrighty. Now for the next month, we're leaving next week. We'll be in Sydney for a month. And as soon as we get back, we'll be doing trance dance, and we'll schedule some other things. Alrighty? And so, until next time, live trance and prosper.